This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
So we looked at the supply chain, we looked internally at objectives and critical success factors and benchmarking. Now we're going to look at customers. And the first thing to get clear in our own mind is the difference between what's called transactions marketing and relationship marketing. Because most of the emphasis nowadays is going to be on relationship marketing. Transaction marketing is almost an anonymous customer who comes, buys once, maybe never buys again, or even if they didn't buy again, we wouldn't know that they were buying again, particularly because we don't really recognize them. So we're kind of living from hand to mouth, hoping that another customer comes in, really. What we would rather have, however, is something which is called relationship marketing, which is where we want to attract and maintain and enhance the customer relationships and essentially build a loyalty with the customers. It's certainly repeat business. We want to be really the supplier of choice rather than a kind of random supplier or a supplier who's been chosen on the cheapest possible price. Now, the journey towards the ideal situation is shown here. This is what's called the marketing ladder. The first thing that salespeople talk about is a prospect. A sales prospect is someone who's never bought from us yet, but we've got great hopes that they will buy from us. And then the great day comes and they become a first-time purchaser. This is great. This allows us to, if you like, put out all the stops, let this customer see just how great we are. Hopefully we'll get them to shift their loyalty across from their existing supplier to us. And it's very important that we do well for our first-time purchasers. If we do well there, the hope is that they will become a repeat purchaser, which we know as a client, that they kind of come to us kind of nearly all the time or maybe automatically. But ideally, we want them to come to us preferentially to other people, and that's where they become really an enthusiast for us and our products and our services. And after they become an enthusiast, that's a kind of internal enthusiasm, we would love them to broadcast the good news to other people so that we can increase our customer base through recommendations from this customer. And the final stage is where they don't so much become a customer as a partner. This perhaps sounds a little odd, but there comes a realization at some point that there's a mutual dependency between the supplier of, say, components and the buyer of the components. The buyer needs good components delivered reliably. The supplier of the components needs a customer who, places repeat orders and who pays dependably and so on. So now if there was some kind of problem with the order, it wouldn't be the customer trying to get the maximum possible discount from the supplier. They recognize they're in it together. They recognize that they have to work together to learn from the problems and to make sure it doesn't happen again, rather than kind of pressing for the maximum possible compensation. The aim of the customer relationship manager is therefore to build this relationship here. And software and e-business and so on can form a very, very useful component to customer relationship marketing. The emphasis is on relationship, and therefore knowledge and intelligence is going to be quite important. We need to know what the customer is interested in. We need to know what products they've bought. We maybe need to make special offers to them, to offer them, the repeat of products they've bought or something of that type there. We can make recommendations to them on the basis of similar products or products which may be going kind of hand in hand with products that they have actually bought. So e-marketing, emails, recording their activity on our website, all gives us fantastic information about what they might be interested in and what they're buying. E-commerce, delivering quickly and efficiently from orders placed online and so on there. Automating the sales, so it's very easy for them to order and they get proper invoices very quite quickly. We are punctual when we say we're going to be delivering. We maybe give them tracking numbers so you can see when the delivery is going to arrive and so on. All of this builds up a relationship with the client, which makes it less and less likely that they will simply go and try another customer, another supplier at random, because we've been so good to them. So there's intelligence, there's communication, there's knowledge management. We need to ideally record somewhere in our system what this customer might be thinking of buying up in the next year or something. We have salespeople frequently have conversations with people. Where's your business going? Where do you think you'll be in a year, 2 years, and so on? And from that, you can almost begin to map out some of the sales that they might be interested in, and keep asking them, are you ready to discuss this item yet? Are your plans still the same, and so on? Take an interest in their business, an interest in what they're doing, an interest in what they've bought already, rather than just kind of sell and forget. That is not customer relationship management. And software and databases and tracking internet visits, website visits, and so on produce real gold dust, really, of information with your about your relationship with your customers. The aim of customer relationship management is to try to acquire new customers. And again, software and the internet can be of fantastic use in doing that. Just an internet website which is easily found by Google is one which is going to help you acquire customers. Or if you can place orders, again Google will do this, you can place orders, adverts rather, on other sites which might be related in some way there, then it's getting you well known. And of course an internet presence can be had by a very small company, and it gives them a kind of global presence in many ways, so they can be found by many, many potential customers. So you try and get the customer in, you make the first order and so on, then you have to retain them, and you can retain them by maybe giving discounts, loyalty schemes are ways of retaining. You can try to involve them in the business by maybe writing reviews of how they got on with the particular product and so on. You can ask them for surveys, how well did we do in that particular delivery, is there any way we could improve, and so on. And after acquisition and retention comes extension. An extension is where you try and get them to buy additional items connected with the original one there. So an obvious one is if you were to sell someone a laser printer, then the obvious extension is that you sell them the toner cartridges and maybe paper later on, so that from one purchase it branches out into a variety of purchases which you hope are going to be repeated. And again, of course, software, internet, databases and so on, fantastically useful at keeping track of what your customers are doing, what they might be interested in. You'll see in the notes something called a customer profitability statement. It's worked through there in detail. This is the kind of a screenshot really of the answer which is there. But a customer profitability statement it really does what it says. It wants to work out and present to you how profitable each customer is. And profitability doesn't just depend on the gross margins. It doesn't just depend on the selling price less the cost price of what you sell them. Some customers take a fantastic amount of management. So take two customers. They each buy 20,000 units a year, but one does it in 2 orders of 10,000. So that's 2 dispatches, 2 invoices and so on. Another one does it in 1,000 small orders a year. There's a fantastic difference in the profitability which is going to arise from those 2 customers. So what the customer profitability statement does, it's a bit like activity-based costing. It says, right, what costs have been caused or can be mapped to this customer on top of the gross profit, selling price less cost price to the units they buy. So here we have typical customer specific costs here. Sales visits. Some customers are very demanding. They want to see a salesperson very, very regularly. They feel almost they're being ignored if a salesperson doesn't almost call every week. Yet they might place quite small orders. Whereas other customers barely want to see a salesperson. They know what they want. They place the orders. There's very little bother in respect of kind of hand-holding by your sales representatives. The order processing, are they lots and lots of small orders or a couple of big orders? That's going to be a big difference. Similarly, billing and collections, often going hand in hand with the number of orders and so on there. But lots and lots of invoices, lots and lots of postings, lots and lots of chasing up of those invoices. Or is it one or two very large invoices which are much easier to process? And then by the time you take all of these other costs into account, you may come out with quite a different sort of view on what the profitability of these customers actually is. So here in this example, we had obviously customer 1 was the most profitable at the top and remains the most profitable down at the bottom. But you see there's been quite a reversal in customers X and Z here. Here Z started off very, very profitable, whereas X wasn't nearly as profitable there. But by the time we take all of these costs into account, particularly these order processing and billing costs here, we found out that poor old Z here comes out a very sorry third. And what we might have to do is to charge this customer more, or we might go to them and say, look, we're going to have to charge you more unless maybe you place fewer but larger orders in some way. Sometimes when you take all of these customer-specific costs into account, you find a customer who seemed to be profitable on a kind of contribution basis. By the time you've done all that hand-holding and special visits and processing, they turn out actually to be loss-making for you. And these customers are ones which you maybe don't want unless they can change their behavior in some way. There is no point in having a customer for the sake of having a customer if you don't make a profit from them, or can't see or hope that in a relatively short time they will turn into a profitable outlet for your services. Customer portfolio analysis. Customer portfolio analysis is a marketing concept used to analyze the supplier-customer relationships in order to help managers allocate scarce resources and to ensure long-term profitability of customer relationships. So in a way, to some extent, it's going to follow on from the customer profitability analysis. We need to know who our profitable customers are. We definitely want to keep them. We definitely want to spend a lot of effort on with those people because they are profitable. But some of the other customers, they might make trivial profits or as relatively low profits. We're not going to send a lot of resources in their direction. And to some extent, we see this at airlines. You have people, the gold card holder, silver card holder, gold card holders in airlines. The airlines know that these are very profitable customers, making many long haul flights, very often business class and so on there. They will want to look after them. They will want to, keep them maybe by giving them points, giving them special offers, giving them, the ability to choose their seats free of charge, extra luggage free of charge, and so on there. Whereas, if you like, ordinary people, non-frequent flyers, who make occasional trips, a couple of times a year on holiday, something of that sort, we're not going to spend a huge amount of effort in going out of our way to keep these customers, perhaps, because they are only marginally profitable. I can remember once being on an aeroplane, and very unusually, I was flying business class because the economy class was full, and I was sitting down there, and the flight attendant came up and asked me to get off the plane because I shouldn't have been let on the plane. And standing at the front, there was another passenger who was quite obviously a gold card passenger. The aeroplane, the aircraft had been overbooked, as they often are, and the people they were getting rid of were the people who weren't a member of the elite card, the gold card club, and so on. Anyway, I did refuse to get off, and takeoff time came and went. and about an hour after the takeoff time, and I was clinging onto my seat. I was not going to be moved out of my seat without a considerable struggle. They eventually decided they could convert a kind of 2x2 business class configuration into a 2x3 and fit this extra person on. I'm telling you this because I still, and this happened about 25 years ago, I still as a customer feel ill done by that airline. It was obviously very stressful, and still when I'm booking, they, even after 25 years, and even though they are a very, by all accounts, a very good international airline, they come bottom of my list. Not that I'm going to change them from profit to loss or loss to profit anyway. So we need to find out, do we want certain customers? How much do we want them? And then maybe decide what are we going to do to keep them, or do we try to get rid of them without too much offence? The sort of things that we will be looking at in the portfolio analysis here is the type of customer relationship. So are they a regular customer? Are they an occasional customer? What do they need? What do they buy from us? What services do they need? Do they buy a product, and do they always buy support? Or do they just buy the product? Do they always buy the cheapest product? And so on. How do they decide when they are selecting suppliers? What is their criteria for selecting us? Is it the basis of cost per unit, or is it service, or is it quality? How important are we to the customer? What is our share of their purchases? And if our share of their purchases is quite high, then we are quite important to them, and so we can. They would find it maybe quite difficult to change to somewhere else, but obviously it's important for us to try and keep pleasing them, because if they are taking a substantial amount of their purchases from us, it could be quite a loss of revenue to us as well. Next, what revenue is generated from them? Just what is the turnover? So we always like to know the 20 biggest customers and so on. I would like to know this as well, not just revenue, but profitability, absolute profitability, and maybe gross profit percentage profitability. Is it high, moderate, or low? We get a feel for how important, how big, if you like, these customers are, and how much we need to kind of look after them. What is the potential for additional sales? Are they expanding at the moment? Have they said, well, we're thinking of opening another factory, we're going to need more products, we're thinking of opening abroad, could use suppliers there? And obviously, if they have these fantastic expansion plans, it's going to elevate them in terms of their importance to us. What's our relationship with them? Do we get on well, or are they very prickly? If they're challenging, they might be more bother than they're worth. If they're always quibbling about a price, quibbling about quality when you think the quality is okay, always demanding a lot of kind of personal service, then of course the customer profitability is going down and down and down, and we might decide that they're more bother than they're worth, in fact. What are their business prospects? I've hinted in this already. Are they expanding? Are they contracting? Are they kind of static there? Of course, what's their credit risk? Do they pay us pretty quickly, or always worrying about that invoice? Is it going to be paid, or is it going to be our kind of a major bad debt at the end of the year? So this gives us a picture, if you like, with all sorts of different facets of the customers. What do they buy from us? How important are we to them? How profitable are they to us? And so how much bother are they to us? What are they going to be like maybe in 5 years' time, and so on? Do they pay us? Are they a safe bet? And this allows us to make sense then of current customer pattern, current customer profiles there. And from that we can then think, well, what's the ideal customer profile? So we might decide that we don't want any customers who order less than an order value maybe of less than 5,000, because an order value of less than 5,000, by the time we've handled it, isn't going to be very profitable. Or maybe we don't want a customer who doesn't buy more than $50,000 worth in a year, because again, they're taking up quite a lot of admin time, and they're not going to be that valuable at the end of the year. What we want are the high value people who give us high profits with as little bother as possible. That's kind of the ideal kind of customer profile. We might decide that we don't want to sell to private customers at all. We only want to sell to businesses, because businesses are more professional, they buy in bigger bulk, we can make more profit from them, and so on. Or we might decide to do it the other way, of course. We might find that selling to businesses is something we can't cope with very well because of the big volumes that are ordered at a time. We might find that businesses are more picky than private customers. We might decide to abandon business-to-business sales and just go to business-to-consumer sales. But we have we have an ideal customer portfolio, and then what we can do is we need to devise a strategy to attract the ideal portfolio of customers and in a way to repel the other ones there. So the strategy could be very targeted marketing, targeted emails. Hopefully with our customer relationship management software, we'll have gathered lots of information about customers and what they're interested in and so on. We can advertise more strongly to the ones that we want. You have to be careful about insulting the other ones. You can't just say kind of go away. Maybe just as baldly, that's not very good PR and so on. But gradually over time we kind of orientate ourselves, make ourselves more attractive. It could be about putting our fees up. So sometimes stockbrokers only want, in some cases, or investment advisors only want to deal with people whose maybe minimum wealth is $500,000. They don't want small savers with $20,000. So by altering your fee structure, you can do that. You can say, up to $500,000, our annual charge is 1% per annum or whatever it's going to be. But if you put more than 500,000 with us, then our annual fee drops to 0.5% per annum. So if you deliberately making yourself quite expensive to the customers you don't want, and making yourself very cheap and attractive to the customers that you do want. And then you execute that strategy, and then usually what happens in all of these kind of plans which you have here, you begin kind of going round it again, really. So execute the strategy, see if it actually works, and so on. See what portfolio of customers you actually end up with. See how far it is from the ideal portfolio of customers, and maybe there's going to be some more work to perform on this.